Hi everyone. We are going to be reading chapter 12 of Pillage by Obert Sky today. I just wanted to really quickly recap about where we were. Remember, Kate and Beck were able to get into the conservatory, but Milo had run home to get some rope, so he wasn't able to get in, and he wanted to go in or explore the basement, but Beck sent them both home. So that's where we're at. We are going to start chapter 12. Excerpt from section 6 of The Green Got Not as recorded by Daniel Phillips. Bruno watched the nest grow bigger around the stone. He didn't sleep for days, staring at what was happening. In the end, the nest opened, exposing the stone and changing his life forever. The peddler's curse had mistakenly created one very dangerous miracle. Chapter 12. 2/4 of a person. I had barely fallen asleep when a rap on my bedroom door woke me up. I still was not completely comfortable sleeping alone on the 3rd floor. Between the unexplained noises and the mysterious wind and my imagination running wild, sleep was a precious escape that was not always easy to achieve. Now that I had fallen asleep, someone had the nerve to knock on my door. "Who is it?" I asked groggily. "Wayne," she replied through the door. "Door's open," I mumbled. Wayne came in and flipped on the light. She smiled at me. "Nice hair," she joked. "I wasn't planning on seeing people in the middle of the night," I said defensively. "Sorry," Wayne apologized. "I'd rather be sleeping myself, but your uncle wants to see you, and he has no sense of time." My heart rate increased. I was suddenly wide awake. "Come with me," Wayne said, "and hurry." I jumped out of bed and threw on my shirt. Wayne was already out the door and walking down the hall. I raced to catch up to her. "Why now?" I asked. "Who knows?" Wayne shrugged. "He found out you were here and demanded to see you." "He didn't know I was here?" I asked in amazement. Wayne stopped and looked at me. I could see her thinking behind her eyes. "No," she finally said. "Well, kind of. I thought he sent for me. I'm sure he would have if he had been aware of your situation, but your uncle doesn't communicate well with others. Miley acted in your best interest." We climbed the stairs to the 4th floor, crossed the hall, and moved up to the 5th. I looked at Wayne. She was pretty, even at night. "Do you like working here?" I asked, suddenly curious. Wayne stopped climbing the stairs. "Of course." "It doesn't seem like the kind of question that can be answered with enough course," I pointed out. Wayne smiled. "Sorry," I said. "I mean, it seems like a weird job, and unless you lost a bet and have to work here, you'd be better off doing something else." "This is my home," she said simply, beginning to climb again. After a few steps, I spoke again. "I'm glad you're here." "Thanks, Beck." We walked across an open, empty room. "Remember what we've said," Wayne insisted. "You are not to worry him. If he asks about the manor, give him only good news. Bad news makes him just stick to the good news." On the 6th floor was an archway with a large brown door. Wayne took a key from her pocket and opened it. I was tempted to inform her that I had a key similar to hers, but I didn't. Once through the door, Wayne put her hand on my shoulder and turned me around to look at her. The room was lit softly by lion-shaped sconces. "He wants to see you alone," she said. "Is that bad?" "You'll be fine," she said unconvincingly. "Through the door is a spiral staircase that will take you to the dome room. Knock before you enter." "Can't this wait until morning?" I asked anxiously. "Like when it's light or when I'm at school?" "Go," Wayne said unsympathetically. "Waiting will only make him more—" Wayne stopped herself again. "More what?" I panicked. "Hurry," she said, pushing me. "He's waiting." I was no longer glad Wayne was here. I walked toward the door slowly. I looked back at Wayne, and she motioned for me to keep going. I went through the door and began to climb the spiral stairs. The staircase twisted for 100 feet before stopping at the trap door in the ceiling. I wanted to see my uncle. At least I thought I did. My whole life I had longed for my dad to show up and take me away. Now I had an uncle I hadn't even known about, and I wanted him to step into the role. I was tired of being alone and ignored. I thought Uncle Aaron could make my life better. At least those had been my thoughts before I arrived in King's Plot. Now I felt that maybe my life was fine with just me. I knocked on the trapdoor, and a muffled voice answered. Come. I pushed the heavy door up and open. It fell back against the floor with a loud knock. Come, come, my uncle insisted. Close the door behind you. I climbed up into the dome room and closed the trapdoor behind me. The room was warm and the floor was covered with thick furs. There were windows open all around the circular room. A small bed rested off to one side, and there was a pot near the foot of the bed. Next to one of the windows stood an antique telescope with books and blankets scattered around the base of it. And sitting on a chair next to a burning candle and looking directly at me was my Uncle Aaron. He looked a bit like my mother, though with a long beard and wild gray hair. He had deep brown eyes, and his tattered bathrobe made him look like a homeless actor in a community production of Lord of the Rings. In his right hand, he held a long black staff covered with markings. I didn't recognize any of them. The inside of the dome was painted with a map of the world. You guys must like maps, I said. Beck? Uncle Aaron whispered reverently. I nodded, not knowing what else to do. Come here, he insisted. Come. I walked up to him. He held me at arm's length and looked me in the eyes as if searching for something deep within me. He looked like a person who would have given just about anything to smile, but didn't because of pride. Francine, he whispered sadly, your mother? I nodded. She would have never let you come. What? I asked, bewildered. I thought, where is she? He interrupted. I didn't like this at all. I wasn't supposed to give him bad news, and what could be worse news than telling him what had happened to his sister? Where is she? He asked, agitated. I had no choice. She's dead. My uncle let go of me and stood. He gazed out the window, looking at the stars as clouds moved over and above them, as though he could see her spirit in the sky. He kneaded his toes in the furry pelt on the floor. You shouldn't have come. I kind of had no choice, I pointed out. It's far too dangerous here. I don't understand. You came by train? He asked frantically. I nodded. Aaron began to pick up books, madly flipping through pages. What's the condition of my estate? He asked. I don't know what you mean. The manor. It's really nice, I tried. I should wander down, but I must watch the skies, he said, sadly. The staff, how are they? You mean Miley, Thomas, and Wayne? Oh, and Scott? That's only 4. That's all there is. Ridiculous, Aaron said. There are hundreds. You'll meet them later. And the gardens? Can't you see them from here? I asked in confusion. Don't be smart, he said, banging his staff. I must watch the heavens. But you looked at me, I pointed out, and you looked at your books. Aaron turned. I wished he wasn't looking at me in the moment. You don't understand, he whispered slowly. You're a child, faced with an equation you can't possibly figure out. That doesn't make sense, I said, hating the way grown-ups insisted on talking. You sleep in the manor? He asked quite quickly. I do, I answered, on the 3rd floor. Good. You play where you should. I think so. There are poachers in the woods. Stay clear of them. Poachers? I asked, thinking of someone cooking eggs. Hunters going after my game. Stay clear of them, he ordered again. Francine, your mother was a strong person. She was wise to leave here. Why did she? I asked. It was our plan. Aaron saw something flutter in the sky. He ran to his telescope and looked up. With his right eye still to the lens, he continued, "She hated so many things about our family. When she left, she vowed never to step foot in King's Plot again." Why? She was trying to run away from what she knew would happen. What was going to happen? "I don't know yet," he said sadly. "It's only just beginning." I didn't like the sound of that. "What's up with this family?" I complained as sincerely as I could. "No one says anything straight. Our father, Morgan, was a harsh man." "See," I argued. He wasn't listening to me. Not only did he disapprove of whom Francine loved, he had not wanted to wake up our mistakes, Aaron explained. "What of your father?" "I have no idea," I answered, summing up my feelings about our entire conversation. "My dad left my mother when I was just a kid." Aaron adjusted the telescope. "No Phillips stays married for long." He was a crystal clear communicator. No wonder he lived alone. Silence fell as a soft wind blew through the room. I was pretty confused. I was also worried that if I didn't ask now, I might never know the answers to some things that were bothering me. "It seems weird here," I said. "Eh?" "Here in King's Plot. There's lots of things growing," I said awkwardly. Aaron took his eyes off the lens and looked at me with confusion. "What's that supposed to mean?" "I've seen bushes grow really rapidly," and he looked for a moment like he might be proud of me, but then he swore and grabbed my shoulders. "Stop it," he said. "Stop it right now." "What?" I said, shaking loose from his grip. "It's a curse of perversion," he insisted, pointing at me with short, sticky fingers. "The land we own trusts you because of who you are. The plants are not looking to do good. They're looking to use you. Not a single Phillips has ever benefited from our control of the foliage." I don't understand. Sorry, guys, I'm going to turn that off. It's annoying. "I don't understand." "Have you been to the gardens?" he asked, worried. "The back gardens?" His tone was so grave that I felt I needed to lie. "No." "Good," he sighed. "Stay away from the back gardens." "What about the growing?" "You're a Phillips," he shrugged. "It's something in you." "I don't understand what that has to do with me being able to make salad fly." "It's using you," he muttered darkly. "Who?" I asked in confusion. "The lettuce." "Careful," he warned. "You are treading with heavy feet where the ground is still brittle." I needed a translator. "Why don't you come down?" I asked. "Come down from the roof. Walk around the house. Tell me about my mother." "Foolishness." He peered through the telescope again. I shook my head and decided to take another tack. "Someone said that there was a basement here." "Who said that?" He shoved the telescope away so quickly I heard the metal creak. "A boy at school?" I said, scared. "School?" he hissed in derision. "I suppose Squall is still there?" "He is?" I said, surprised. "Ever since, well, he's never cared for our family." He shook his head. "And whales?" "What?" I asked, thinking he was asking about whales that lived in the sea. "Principal Wales," Aaron clarified. "He's still managing the helm of Calabar Bar?" "Yes." "Humor him," my uncle said, "but place no confidence in what he teaches. Now, what boy told you tales of a basement?" "I don't know his name," I lied. "You are a poor liar," my uncle said sadly, "and there is no basement." I wanted to accuse him of being a poor liar as well, but I held my tongue. "Can I visit you again?" I asked. I didn't care that Aaron was half a person living in a fraction of a real life. I wanted more than anything to have the connection of family. Aaron saw something float by in the sky and reached excitedly for his telescope. He looked at me surprised I was still there. "Go," he ordered, rapping his staff against the floor. I opened the trap door. "Beck?" I turned back and looked at him. I see Francine in you." Is that good or bad? It's the truth. Now go. He turned his attention back to the skies. I turned my attention to the stairs and made my way back to my room. Okay, my friends, we're going to stop there, and I will see you tomorrow for chapter 13.